All right, guys, today is Thursday, August 10th, 2023, and I have not done anything in a few days because Sunday I went to get in my truck. I always like hop up in the truck because it's stock height that sets really high. I usually hop up in the truck and then I have to scrunch over, kind of pick my body up and get up underneath the steering wheel straight. And I knocked my back out. That's all it took. So my back has been jacked up since, I think that was Sunday. Might have been Saturday, I don't remember. I think it was Sunday. But anyway, I couldn't even stand up straight. So today it's just a dull ache. But, whatever. The work's got to be done, you know what I mean? Usually if I take a couple days off and not do anything, it usually gets pretty good where I can come out and work. But so far, this has been a few days and it's still kind of an irritating ache down there. But I think today is the day that the 56 Chevy 4-door chassis donor is going to show up. I haven't got the for sure text message yet, but I got a text from Steve early this morning that said that the guy that's delivering it is actually going to go to work and see how big the workload is, and they're hoping that this afternoon he's free and he can deliver the car. I'm kind of not looking forward to this because this is going to be a huge mess. The car does not have a rear end under it. It's missing one leaf spring. There's no front suspension stuff on it. I think there's one control arm. The rest of it's gone, spindles, all that. So when it gets here, I'm not quite sure once we get it off the trailer if it's even going to be able to be moved. So, if I had a rear end and spindles and all that kind of stuff to put on the car, I could, kind of throw that stuff on there. Nothing has to be tight. It probably doesn't even need all the hardware in it, but it would be enough to make the body shell roll around, you know what I mean? Because I don't want a derelict, stripped apart body shell and frame sitting in my driveway in the middle of this housing addition. I don't think my neighbors would appreciate that much. I already got one of those out there, but I do have a cover on it to where it doesn't look so bad, you know what I mean? So I've got to try to figure that out. So Steve was telling me that once I get the body off the frame, he's just going to come over here with his flatbed truck and get the body up on the back of the flatbed truck, and he's going to haul it off, I guess, to a salvage or a dump or something. I hate to see that on any Tri-5 Chevy. This car is pretty much just a parts car. It will not be ever fixed. There's no title to it. The floors are super rusty. It would take a full floor just from the pictures, and I haven't seen the car in person. It's not worth fixing. It's missing the front clip motor transmission. I think that door over there is missing, and there's no telling what else is missing on it. This is just a parts car. So, when you get something like that in that people have picked parts off of through the years, there's usually a few things left, that can be salvaged. One thing for sure is there's a lot of specific hardware in these cars, and I would like to replenish my slide trays over there because I used a lot of that stuff in Steve's car. So, like wing window parts and all that kind of stuff, which when I go to do the 4-door, when I bought that car, somebody had taken all the windows and stuff out and a lot of the hardware was missing. So some of the hardware I may have actually used on Steve's car, and I'm going to need it for my 4-door. So anyway, these slide trays over here, there's 4 groupings of slide trays here, and this is all like Tri-5 Chevy specific stuff. So I have a lot of stuff. Well, it's not all Tri-5. I guess there's some Quadrajet needles and that kind of stuff, but I would say 90% of that slide tray setup is Tri-5 Chevy specific hardware. Tiny little parts and pieces. So I for sure would like to replenish some of the hardware back in there. But anyway, I kind of thought about, depending on what kind of shape the car's in, I may try to just throw in some money on the deal so Steve's not so deep in it, and I'll just take what's left. And, because somebody may need a quarter panel. Somebody may need the roof. I mean, who knows? Somebody had commented. I don't remember who that was. Dang it. William Armstrong, I think. He's one of my longtime subscribers. He was talking about something on the quarter panel. I don't know the shape of the quarters yet. The car's super rusty, looks like in the pictures. But I don't even know if the quarters are any good. We'll just have to wait till it gets here. But that's what I would like to see. I'm not going to build the car. I would like to at least see some guys get more parts off of it to help other Tri-5 4-doors live on, instead of it just going to a salvage yard and getting smashed, you know what I mean? So we'll just kind of see what's left over. And most likely there's still going to be a couple of parts and pieces on the car that I may be able to use on the 4-door. So And then that way Steve doesn't have to drive all the way over here with his flatbed. We got to try to figure out how to get a body shell on the back of it, strap it down. He's got to haul it off and all that kind of crap. It can just stay here. So I have a spot in my fenced area. I actually have a body cart in there, and that body cart is taking up space that body shell would go. Now I would put the body on that body cart, and I may have to do that today for the time factor, but it has really small casters on it, so when it gets out in the dirt, if there's a body on it, I can't roll it. It just digs into the dirt and stops. I think I hurt my back like 3 years ago doing that. So I either need to put new casters on it, bigger casters, which I'll have to go to Atwood's and buy, or Tractor Supply, one of the two. And casters are pretty expensive, especially the big ones. But I either need to do that, or I need to try to rustle up all the other suspension parts to put under, you know, so there's 2 complete chassis, because at the end of the day, I got to have a complete chassis under Steve's car, which we're going to use all his stuff that's under his. But it'd be nice to have some old crappy stuff to put under that other car so it would actually roll on full-size tires and wheels. But anyway, it's just going to be a big mess, because by this evening, if the car gets delivered today, I am going to have a derelict, non-movable 4-door 55 body shell sitting in my driveway. So my wife's not going to enjoy that much, which I do have a 55 4-door body sitting out here, body shell on a frame, but I do have a cover on it, so it doesn't look that bad, you know what I mean, with a cover on it. But that car, you know, this car looks pretty bad. So I've got to try to work fast and see what I can get done. But gonna be a big day, but when the car gets here, I'll do a full walk around of it and show you guys what we're dealing with. Anything moving around, but we will probably.
Oh yeah.
So they closed that place, what, in 2001 or something like that?
Yeah.
So we've had this place for a long time. Over 20 years. Steve was talking about coming and getting the body after I got it off the frame and then just load it on his flatbed and take it to the, dump it off somewhere to salvage, I guess. And I hate to see him do that. I mean, it's still got a few pieces on it somebody might get used. Yeah. Oh no. How much higher down we go?
Yeah, when you come over this way, just pass. There we go. Yeah, take the front up just a little bit. Okay, we're under it. No, it was just real now.
Yeah.
There we go.
That works every day. This is awesome. All right, guys, here is Steve's new acquirement here, we'll say. Ain't she a beaut? This car is junk. You'd have to be really, really, really ambitious to rebuild this car. So this thing is rusted. The floors are gone. Look at them floors. I mean, they're history. But there's not one body panel on this car that's worth anything. So the quarter panels are both wasted. The other quarter panel's smashed in. This one's all rolled under. It looks like they lifted up the front of the car and just crushed the rear end. But that quarter panel's all rolled up underneath. The quarter panel's bulged out right here. The rockers are rusty, both sides in the same spot. The door, this is full of rust bubbles all through here. So it's pretty crusty. A lot of the dash parts are gone. The seat springs, probably after those are blasted, they're probably not going to be any good. Probably going to be too thin. I thought it might have had a good hood hinge, but it's twisted up and bent, so it ain't worth fixing. The frame's outstanding. The frame is awesome. So I am really impressed with the frame. So it was worth the frame for sure. But the whole bottom of this door, I opened the door while the whole bottom of it, you can stick your hand up through the bottom of it, it's junk. This door's rotted out. Back of the rocker, the back of the door is rusty. This quarter panel's smashed in. It's been smashed in 2 spots. It's rotted out right there. That's all folded under as well. So around the back. I thought the trunk floor was going to be pretty nice. I was pretty excited at first, and then up in here, what the part that Steve needs, this is all rusted out. Might be able to use this section right here, and I'm going to try to drill the spot welds out of these reinforcement plates to reuse. And then underneath these reinforcement plates are 2 thick plates with square cutouts for carriage bolts. Both of those have been welded up in Steve's car, so I'm going to try to drill the spot welds out of both of those plates and the plates underneath and use all that stuff and put it back like factory. So that's pretty cool. Tail pan's all rolled up. I don't know, man, I'm kind of impressed with it. For, you know, I'll know more when I get it out from under there, but so far it looks pretty decent. Especially the front, you know. They're usually, you'll find them in the fronts tweaked out. I don't know that it has any actual damage on it. It's just a 2-piece frame. It's not a seamless frame. The one thing I was a little worried about when I was first looking at it is this frame rail, rear frame rail, is close to the tail pan like it's supposed to be, and this one's far away. So this, when you get to looking at it, this tail pan is smashed up. So that's all that's really wrong with it. When I first saw it, I was like, oh crap, that's bent up, but it's not. It's the tail pan. So as far as good usable parts on the car, I used a bunch of, you know, like door screws, nuts and bolts and stuff for the wing window assembly and window regulators and that type of stuff on Steve's car that I had here for my slide trays. So I need all that stuff back to put in my slide trays, because when I bought this 4-door that I'm building for my wife, all the glass was out of it and a lot of the screws and the nuts and bolts specific hardware is gone. So I was having to I was gonna have to rely on what I've got in my slide trays in there, and I used some of it for Steve's car. So it's a shame the other door's not on the car, because I'd have had all that hardware back, but as it stands, I've only got that half of it back. But I'm hoping that in all my other totes and stuff I have in my shed, I might have enough of that hardware to put that car back correctly. But anyway, as far as usable parts, like some of the trim on this door is good. This trim around here is good. It does have a quarter glass here, and it does have a back glass. These only fit a sedan. This back glass will fit a 2-door or 4-door sedan, but it's got deep scratches in it, so it's just a used, you know, if somebody needed a used window. You can see the back window trim's got a bunch of dings in it. So, I mean, there's really nothing much usable left of this car. But I hate to see it get smashed. So I called him a while ago, told him I was pretty happy with the chassis, and then I asked him what he thought he might want for the rest of the car, and then he don't have to mess with driving over here and picking it up and hauling it off, because his idea was to load it up on his flatbed truck and then take it and get rid of it at probably a salvage or something. So I hate to see it get hauled off, because, you know, I might need screws and nuts and bolts out of this car for my car. But anyway, I'm not going to pay very much at all for this car because there's nothing really here except some screws and stuff and a back glass, and I don't need none of that stuff. I got all brand new glass for the 4-door, so I don't need anything off of this car except the screws, like for the wing window. But I'll show you this. This is pretty damn neat. I'm kind of impressed with somebody's work that they did at one time. This quarters panel's been replaced, because if you'll notice underneath the trim, it's still got the factory two-tone green paint under it, and you can see the filler line right here where this was seamed together all the way down. So I think it's interesting that they seamed the car back together. I'd hate to grind that out and see what's under there, but it's interesting as they put a quarter panel on the car, went through all that work, and then they left the factory paint under there. You know what I mean? But the car's originally the copper and ivory two-tone, so that's pretty nice. I actually had this identical car, a 4-door Belair 56, same two-tone color combination, and I drove it as a patina car for a while, and then I tore it all apart and did a bunch of work to it, and I put it in two-tone primer and drove it for a while, and then tore it apart and to paint it, to go for paint. After I bought a whole bunch of parts for it, I decided to go ahead and tear it apart since I had all the new parts here. And then I ended up getting the hardtop, so I ended up selling it as a project, and the guys that bought it at try5.com finished it out, got it painted and everything, and it was at the very first Try5 Nationals in 2015, and I actually went to that show and I got to see the car in person. So it was really awesome to see the car, you know, get finished out. They'd done a beautiful job on it. It was a great car. I had a ton of new parts for that car, but it's kind of interesting that it was the same exact color combo as my one I had. So, but anyway, guys, that's the car. It's there's not much here, you know what I mean? There's, you know, a few little pieces that I'm going to use on Steve's car. He's missing that access panel, a little short one up here on the front. He is missing one rear one as well, but the guy that delivered the car says he thinks he has one of them access panels, so the bigger one for a 2-door. The 2-doors are bigger than 4-door on the rear, but the front little square one is the same, and Steve's missing one, so there's one here. So I'm going to use that on his car. And like those little section of the trunk back here and these plates back here, I'm going to use those on Steve's car. So I mean, it's, you know, it's still going to be able to give up a few parts and pieces, you know what I mean? But it's just, I hate to see it get smashed, but it ain't worth much, you know what I mean? So anyway, that's the car. I guess tomorrow's project is going to be to take it off the frame or try to get it off the frame. I should be able to do it all tomorrow. I'll have to take the steering box out of it. I don't even know if there's a gas tank in it. I didn't even look. If I did, I didn't notice it. Anyway, or pay attention. Gas tank's gone, so I don't have to do that. So I could probably get the frame out from under it tomorrow. That'll be the goal anyway. He had a cart. He brought a cart, had it in the back of his truck, and he told me I could borrow it. He does want it back, but it's a gate, like a chain link fence gate, and somebody's put casters and stuff on it. And it did bow it in when we put the car on it, but at least it works, and it does roll, so it works, you know what I mean? But I'll go ahead and get this frame out from under it tomorrow and start the tear down and the cleanup process on it. It is going to take quite a while to get it all cleaned up, you know what I mean? My little blaster, I can't go through and blast this entire thing with my blaster. It'll burn my compressor to the ground. It'll overheat it and burn it up. So I almost did that once 2 years ago. So I'll probably go in and attack it with doing it all by hand, and then all the hard to reach areas, like up inside here and down inside these pockets and all that, I will use my blaster on. But that's how I did the frame on the 4-door 55, and it turned out very nice. So plan for tomorrow is to strip it, man. Get the chassis out from under it, and I'll get all the steering stuff off of it, the A-arms off of it, and all that kind of crap. So I have a set of control arms, uppers and lowers, in my shed that somebody had blasted and put an epoxy primer, but they don't have any ball joints or anything in them. They are very, very nice, because usually when you tear these cars apart, the A-arms, they're pitted like these. See all these little pits? I've got a super nice set in my shed. The ones on Steve's car are not as nice as the ones I have, so I'm going to go ahead and rebuild the ones in my shed for Steve's car, and then I can take those and just pretty much leave them on the car, because that frame's going to go under this car. So it'll be a bent and cut up frame underneath a rusted out, beat up body. So again, not worth much, you know what I mean? But that's it. That's what we ended up with. I feel bad for that car, but at least it's gonna help other cars live on. Thanks for watching.